Profit Answer Man, Rocky Lalvani. For those of you who are new to the show, check out my interview with Mike Michalowicz. It's episode 2. If you want to hear about each chapter in the Profit First book, go back and listen to episodes 3 through 13. Episode 1 is the why and how. 80% of business owners hate accounting. I don't blame them, but you need to have someone to help you make good financial decisions. Many accountants and bookkeepers are bad at this. Plus, they don't think like you do. You need someone on your team to help you make great financial decisions that ensure you have the time and freedom to do what you love. Remember, more revenue does not equal more profit. That's why we focus on the bottom line. Today, we're joined by a small business owner who is going to share her story with Profit First. Before Profit First, Cat Harvey struggled financially, and now she gets to enjoy the fruits of her labor. Let's meet our guest. Welcome to the Profit Answer Man, Cat Harvey.
Well, thank you very much, Rocky. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
And I'm excited for the conversation. Can you share with the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do in business?
Absolutely. So I am, the way I usually describe it, I'm a convincing copywriter and a clever content creator. I specialize in web copy and blog posts to help you promote your business.
And every business needs a little help with promotion, don't they?
Absolutely.
Especially in today's world of social media.
Yes.
And so I understand the value of copywriting. And again, sales is one part of the whole process, getting people in the door and getting your story out there. And the better you can do that, the more your revenue is. But we also have to worry about our profits, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. You know, it's funny because in the world of marketing, I constantly have conversations with people who are in kind of the marketing agency business. And their sales line is always, hey, if you could give me $1 and I could give you $1.50 in revenue, doesn't it make sense to keep doing that over and over again? Because every time you put $1 into the marketing machine, you get $1.50 back. And I always challenge them. And I go, wait a minute. If you put $1 in and you get $1.50 sale, you probably have about $1.25 or $1.35 of cost of goods and employees and all those other things that you need to pay for that sale. And so while you're getting more revenue from your marketing, by the time you pay for marketing, you're actually losing money. And so you have to be very careful on how much you spend, and you have to understand whether or not it's going to fit into the profit picture.
You're absolutely right. And in fact, I see companies that are spending thousands and thousands of dollars for marketing, for pay-per-click, different types of marketing strategies, and they're getting nothing in return, which is just, ridiculous. So, yeah, you have to be very careful with your marketing dollars, certainly.
And that's very true. So you're here because you now use Profit First in your business. Can you share what it was like before you started using Profit First?
Yeah, sure. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I owned a service business for 15 years. I owned a retail business for 10 years. I did 12 years in corporate America. And now I've been 4 years on my own as a writer. So I've kind of been in a lot of different scenarios, and I managed to lose money or just spend every single penny I made, sometimes a little bit more, in every scenario. And then I learned about Profit First. And when I first started as a writer, you may be saying, well, how big can your expenses be if you're a writer? So you need a laptop and maybe a printer, and then what? But I had the notion, I had the what they call the bright shiny object syndrome, and decided what I really needed was expensive coaching programs to teach me how to be the kind of writer that I wanted to be. And that just was not true. And once again, I started spending every single penny I made and a little bit more. And what I'm finding out as I talk to different solopreneurs and different business owners is that's not unusual. And there are, many people go into business and find themselves in the same situation. And what we do is we go to these networking meetings and we all talk about how busy we are. And, we're not making any money, but we talk about how busy we are. Internally, we're ashamed, we're embarrassed. We just feel like we have to keep up this facade that we're very busy. Therefore, that's proof that we're making all kinds of money. And it's just not true. And it's something that we do this little dance for each other. And again, internally, we think, well, I must be lazy. Maybe if I work harder. And I think I had an accountant once that gave me a bit of advice and said that if you are losing 50 cents a watermelon, it doesn't make sense to buy a bigger truck to haul them around in. And I think that was excellent advice and makes the point that, you don't need more infrastructure. You need more profit.
And I will tell you, guys in their trucks, I need a truck. And so they end up buying a $70,000 pickup truck because I got a tax deduction. Wow, that made a lot of sense.
Right.
And you are very correct. I know many seven-figure businesses that are losing money. And on last week's episode, John shared a company that had $30 million in revenue and essentially went out of business because they had no cash flow. So it doesn't matter how much you make. It matters how much you keep.
Right. And that's the beauty of Profit First, is that I'm not a multi-million-dollar company. I'm just me, and I'm just hoping to make a little bit of money to put into the household. And Profit First, though, doesn't matter how small you are or how big you are, the principles are the same, and and you can benefit from employing these principles and putting profit first to use in your business.
And that is so true. So how did you learn about Profit First?
Well, it's kind of funny. I had a networking group that I started that was networking just for creatives. So I thought that this would be a good idea to get started with different referral partners and power teams. So we had writers, we had graphic designers, we had videographers and photographers and different people that worked in the creative industry. And we were having a meeting one time, and somebody mentioned Profit First. And I was like, well, what's that? And I bought the book on Amazon and I downloaded it on Audible. And I'll tell you, to listen to Mike read the book is very entertaining and it helps to make things stick. But I also wanted to have a hard copy of the book. So I think on the back of the book it says something about it was a smack upside the head. And that is so accurate because it was like somebody turned the light on. And for the first time, I started making money. And it was a really weird feeling. And I still can't believe it today that I've gone through my expenses, I've pared down, I do my percentages, and it's just a great program.
One of the target markets for me is creatives, because creatives tend to not want to look at math, and they don't want to look at numbers. They want to do their creative stuff, and they want to do the part that they love. And that's why I think a lot of creatives struggle, is because if you're not paying attention to the financials, you're going to have problems. And like all of us, shiny object syndrome, or we think we need something, or the accountant tells you to go buy the big truck so that you can expense it this year. All of those types of things happen. And it's important to do a better job with that. So after you read the book, did you immediately implement?
Well, after I read the book, I got from the book that it's very important to get the right support staff to help you implement the principles in the book. So I was thinking of changing accountants at the time, because my accountant lived quite a ways away. And so I said to my friend who was an accountant, I said, hey, have you ever heard of Profit First? And she said, oh, yes, I have. And I can't wait to tell you how it's helped us at our accounting practice. And I was like, what? So that for me was my sign from the universe or from God or whatever you like, that I was on the right path and Profit First was for me. So she introduced me to her banker. I had shopped around a little bit, and I had gone to my bank to say, what, and they were going to charge me $5 a month per account. And I just felt like, no, I think I can get somebody to do it without charging me $5 a month. So my accountant's banker said they would love to help me. So I opened my 5 accounts there, and that was my 5, and my 2 were actually at my Edward Jones account. So that was about as inconvenient as you could be, as far as, you have to request a check, it takes a week, that kind of thing. So I had my banker, I had my accountant, and it was go time. And it was amazing just to see the accounts grow and to understand that if I had tax liabilities, they were covered. I had my owner's compensation, and that was my contribution to the household. And I had kind of a neat idea with my profit. Something that we had always wanted to do was to travel. So when I do my profit distributions, I put them in another account called my travel account. And when we take a trip, it's paid for. So my taxes are paid for. I'm drawing an income. My expenses are paid for, and I have a travel account now. Awesome.
And it sounds like fun. And I can't tell you how many times I'm always surprised, and we've had some on the show where we have accountants on who are like, Profit First changed my life, and it's helped me to be more profitable. And part of the reason why is they are not taught how to be profitable in school. Like, it's not part of the CPA or accounting program. Everything is about where do we put the money, not how do we increase the money that stays on the bottom line, which is profit. And so it's just makes me laugh whenever I hear those stories of how the accountants have turned their lives around as well. And that's why I think most business owners struggle, is because the one person they look to help them isn't necessarily the best person.
Right. Yeah, I know there are plenty of accountants that do not are not interested in Profit First and not interested. I mean, you know, to me, it was worth it to find one that was, to have that support. And it's worked out well for me.
And it's always nice to have support, right?
Yeah.
We all need accountability. We need someone to help us get through the friction, how to set up the accounts correctly. And then, so that's just step one, is setting everything up. Then step two is actually consistently doing it. Yep. And then step three is figuring out how to constantly be cutting your costs and running a lean, mean type of business, because that is what puts the money in your pocket so that as you choose to, you use it the way you love and you go travel. And that's perfectly acceptable. We need to enjoy life. And it's nice when our enjoyment is fully funded and guilt-free.
Yes, absolutely. It's a world of difference. It is the proverbial smack upside the head.
So were there any parts that you struggled through as you were getting going and utilizing the system?
No, not really. I didn't really have any problems with it. I guess it was a little difficult to estimate at first my percentages and what I wanted to use there. But it didn't take me long to settle into what I was going to use. And I've adjusted it a bit since because I'd rather have some more owner's compensation, as my husband just retired. And my travel account was a little bit bigger than we were going to use anytime soon. So I did do some adjustments there. But that was, you know, I think that's the thing that people might struggle with the most, is saying, well, how much do I put here or put there? And I think, what did they say? Done is better than perfect?
Correct. And I tell my clients, we're going to start off and it's going to be messy. Like, we're going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because the money is still in the bank. It's still there. And, you know, over a couple months, we'll tweak the dials. And then once we get it dialed in, then we're going to retweak the dials and start cutting the spending and increasing the compensation and the profit over time. And, you know, for the tax account, it literally might take a year to really get a clue on your tax account, because you got to go through the full year cycle to see where that ends up. And, you know, I was just on the phone with Profit First yesterday, and we were going over my Profit First allocations. And they were like, well, you actually might need to up your tax allocations above what the book says because of the way the numbers all flowed. And they're like, and it's okay that you're above on pay and on profit. You don't have to spend more. And I said, I know, I don't have the need to spend. So I keep my spending very tight and very in line, and it's okay. And then you play around with it little by little. Is there any?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what else should the audience know about your experience with Profit First?
Well, I think it was interesting. I talked to another person in business, and I was telling her about Profit First. I'm a huge evangelizer, obviously, because my life has been changed, and I want to share that with others. But I was talking to her about Profit First, and she said, yeah, but I really kind of like to get that tax refund back. And I said to her, you realize that means that you lost money, right? And here again, I thought she was successful, even though I was not at that point. But turns out she's playing the same game too, where she was losing money. And I said, what would it be like to actually make money and then just have the money to pay your taxes? Wouldn't that be better? But I think Profit first does require a paradigm shift of sorts. And you have to give it some thought, and you have to think about, what do you really want? Do you want to keep muddling through, nose to the grindstone, wishing and hoping, or do you want to turn things around and just do it and start making the profit?
And that is so true. And it is countercultural, because no one else is going to tell you not to spend money. And everyone's going to tell you got to spend money to make money. And we say, no, you don't. There are ways to make money without spending money. And there are ways to do it for less. But you have to change the way you think. And the reality is when you do this, you become a very small minority, which is business owners that are consistently profitable, that can, weather the storms when they happen and be able to survive and thrive. But you can't listen to what everyone else is telling you. And the reality is you just shared, is while everyone else looks like they're doing well, chances are they're not. And I think that's something we need to get over.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that. We all feel the need to, put up this facade that everything's great and we're successful and we're profitable. And when so many of us are hurting inside. I remember sending out a motivational email one time, getting an answer back from a doctor who replied saying, I love your emails and they make me feel so good, but I'm about to lose my house. And you just don't think that a doctor would find themselves in that situation. You think, well, there's me, I'm a screw up, or I don't manage money, or I don't, this, that, or the other, and talking bad about yourself. But you don't realize there are other people out there, many of them, that are hurting in the same way.
And doctors always face trouble because they are not taught business or money in medical school or during their residency. And so they come out after years of living on next to nothing. All of a sudden, they've got this big paycheck and they think they can have it all. And they don't realize that money is not going to go anywhere near as far as they think it's going to go. And I've spent a lot of time with doctors teaching them, as they come out of their fellowship, build your financial base first before you go building the crazy custom house, and get attuned to the money, because it's a weird situation, and people are going from making 30, 40, 50 grand overnight to making a couple $100,000. And they don't get the time to really adjust. And more often than not, they overshoot and then they're screwed. And
yeah, it probably seems like monopoly money when you find yourself in a situation like that. It doesn't even seem real.
Well, it's also a mindset. I'm a doctor. I deserve it. I'm a doctor. Yeah. I'm supposed to have a nice car and a nice house and live this. So society's also pushing on them that you have to live a doctor lifestyle.
Yes.
But that's difficult to do. And so, yeah, I see it in a lot of different, every single area has its issues. So, creatives and money are kind of like oil and water. Doctors and money are oil and water. Lawyers and money, oil and water.
Yeah. There's an awful lot of oil and water going on.
And even accountants and money are oil and water. So
they should know better, but they don't.
Well, if you think about it, we aren't. I have an MBA. They didn't teach us how to make profit. They didn't teach us how to do this in school. Schools don't teach money. They don't teach profit. And that's why I think a lot of people struggle, along with their money scripts. So when you take the time to focus this, that's the cool thing about Profit First, is it's a system that removes the emotions and it gives you instant feedback and says, here's how much money you have to spend. Be resourceful and figure out how to live within your budget, and it does it for you.
Yeah, I mean, once you get it set up, it's really, for all intents and purposes, automatic.
It is, as long as you keep doing it, which is the problem. People stop doing it or they cheat, right? Just like you cheat on your diet. Oh, I want a little ice cream tonight.
Right. Nobody sees me eat it, right?
And that happens. So that's why accountability is always good.
Yes.
So if people are interested in marketing services and maybe learning a little bit more about you and what you do, what's the best way for them to connect and to find you?
Okay, well, I have a website. It's www.copycatwriter.com. And I've got some samples of my work there and some cheerful banter for you. And then if you need to send me an email, it's copycatmd, like doctor, copycatmd@gmail.com.
And I will put those in the show notes to make it easy for people to find you.
Great. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Rocky. It's been fun.
Another success story for how using Profit First and having someone to help you implement can turn your business around and ensure that you are profitable. And it removes the fear and anxiety around finances, allowing you to sleep at night. I have a simple wish for you to be profitable. The stronger you are as a business owner, the more jobs you create, the better we are as a country. Small business owners are the backbone of America, and for that, you deserve to be well rewarded. If you want a done-for-you service, you can have me as your Chief Profitability Officer, because you have your zone of genius and want to spend your time doing what you love. I only work with a handful of clients so they can get my full attention. I work with business owners who have or are growing to $500,000 to $5 million in revenue. Use the scheduling link in the show notes to get on my calendar and see if we're a good fit for each other. If you want to learn about living the life of your dreams, check out my other podcast, Richer Soul. As we close out, let's repeat the mantra. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Let's thrive and grow. Have a profitable week.